Today we'll be talking about incident response. Okay. So what is incident response? Incident response refers to deliberate efforts cybersecurity analysts take to respond to cyber attack or cyber threats. Incident response curbs the menace of the attack and further prevents it from happening again. Now, we all know that as an organization, threats always occurs, incidents always occurs. It might even not be an hacker or a cyber criminal. It might even be natural disaster. So what incident response is all about is responding to any incident or any event that causes threats to the organization. That is what incident response is all about. Then we have incident management. Incident management refers to stringent actions, policies and protocols a cybersecurity team puts in place in order to ensure the prediction, prevention, and recovery of important data following a cyber breach. Now, what incident management is all about? Incident response actually falls under incident management. Incident management is like the umbrella for incident response because it has to do with the whole process of how the incident response plan was created and the continuous process of how the plan is going to be used. So we have the key features and differences of incident response and incident management. Now, incident response is a reactive process that focuses on immediate eradication and of cyber threats and cyber attacks. Incident response centers on the identification, quick response, and assessing incidents. Some actions involved in incident response includes malware removal, that is removal of malicious softwares from endpoint devices, isolating compromised systems and devices, restoring systems to normal operation. While the incident management is a proactive and reactive process, and it is focused on a broader management activities that includes the incident response, the incident life cycle. We have the preparation, we have detection, response, containment, eradication, recovery, restoration, then we have post-incident activities. So now incident management, like I said before, is like the umbrella for incident response because incident response actually falls under incident management because for incident response, it only attends to immediate threats. Okay, if an organization was hit by an attack, incident response responds to that particular attack at the moment. It responds to it. What would they do out of it? Why incident management has to do with we will try to foresee this incident, and after foreseeing this incident, we have a plan towards this incident. After we've created a plan towards this incident, how do we intend to keep using the plan, or how do we intend to keep protecting ourselves against this type of incident? That is what the incident management is all about. Then we have the differences. Incident response is an immediate response, while incident management comprises of the entire incident lifecycle. So objective prioritizes the response to threats and eradicates it, whereas incident management aims to minimize impact, restore normal operations, and improve the incident handling. Now we have the time lapse. Incident response is a short time and occurs when there is an imminent threat, where incident management is a long time and progressive. So there is something we call business continuity plan, and there's something we call disaster recovery plan. Now, what business continuity plan means is that if an organization is hit by a threat or by an attack, be it cyber attack, be it natural disaster, now what the business continuity plan is all about is that we must still find a way to ensure that the business is still alive no matter what we faced. So they have a team that they will set up a team for that to ensure that, okay, the business still lives while we try to tackle what hit us. So the business still lives. Then why this disaster recovery plan has to do with the technical aspects, that is recovering the whole probably network interface, the technical aspects of the organization. That is the recovery plan. So now we want to talk about the incident response life cycle. Now, the incident response life cycle, we have 6 phases. Now, the first phase of the incident response life cycle is preparation. Now, the preparation stage is the first area of the incident response life cycle. Phases of incident response plan: develop incident response plan, establish incident response team, conduct risk assessments, implement incident detection and response tools, develop incident response procedures, train and exercise. Now, this first phase is where all these things happen. So we have those that actually comprise the incident response team. So we have the incident response manager, which is the lead. Now coordinates the entire incident response process, makes critical decisions, manages timeline. That is, this person might actually be someone from the management, from the top management. We have a representative from the management. Then we have a security analyst / investigator. Now monitors, alerts, investigates threats, analyzes logs, identifies IOCs. IOCs means indicator of compromise. Now, we also have a representative from the security analyst team that will join the incident response team. Then we have a forensic analyst representative also. Now, he or she collects and preserves digital evidence, performs root cause analysis, supports legal action. So we also have a representative from the forensic side. Then we have a malware analyst or a threat hunter. Malware as in malicious software. So somebody that can, now this person analyzes malware behavior, reverse engineers malicious code, finds threats. So we also have a representative from the malware analyst. Then we have systems / network administrator. So we also have a representative from the systems / network administrator. Now this person implements containment strategies. Example, system isolation, restores affected services. So that's the function of this person, restores affected services. Then we also have a legal and compliance advisor. This person ensures actions comply with regulations, e.g. the GDPR that we talked about when we're talking about cybersecurity frameworks. Then we have the HIPAA, handles legal reporting, because I think I mentioned it in the last class that when there's a threat on an organization, most times it could actually lead to leak of customers' details to the bad guys. Now, once this kind of thing happens, customers tend to want to sue these organizations based on their rights. Now, this is where a legal advisor comes in to make sure to let the organization know if they are still following the regulations as to regards to how they are handling the incident response. Then we have communications / PR lead. So we also have somebody representing the communications / PR. So this person manages internal and external communications, including public statements if needed. Now, what the function of this person is, at least the customer should be able to know, or the organization, everybody in the organization should be able to know, okay, this is where we are at and this is what we actually faced. Just like the incidents that happened with MTN Nigeria the other time where they had to come out and say they were hacked. Now, the person that actually puts that information out will be the representative of the communication/PR lead. Then we have the human resources, which is HR, a representative from the HR also. So handles insider threat cases, employee disciplinary actions, and supports investigations. They also have the executive sponsor or the CI/CISO. Now provides oversight, approves major decisions, allocates resources, and ensures alignment with business properties. So these are the people that actually make up an incident response team. So we have established incidents. We are still under the first phase, which is the preparation. So we have established incident response team. We've talked about those that are actually in the team. That is, identify the response team numbers. Example, security analysts, network administrators analysts. Ensure adequate training and expertise, and establish clear roles and responsibilities. Then the next step, conduct a risk assessment. Identify the vulnerabilities present and what threats is imminent. Assess current security controls and incident response capabilities. That is, in the preparation stage, they will have to conduct risk assessments to know the vulnerabilities that are actually present and what threats they could actually face, or what threats could actually exploit their vulnerabilities. So we have implement incident response and detection tools. Now, installing intrusion detection systems and intrusion prevention systems. I told you intrusion detection system. For example, we have SNOT. Now, what this does is that it helps you to detect if any threat is actually coming into your network. Then intrusion prevention system helps you to prevent, depending on the rules you set, helps you to prevent a threat from coming into the organization. Like I once told you, I said both we have host-based incident response, and we also have host-based intrusion detection and intrusion prevention. Then we also have network-based. Now the network-based, if can you guys see me? Hope I'm not talking to myself.
Yes, sir.
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. So the network based, if installed, it could actually work for the all the endpoint devices on that particular network. But for host based, you have to do individual installations on different endpoint devices. Same thing goes for the intrusion prevention system. You have the network based and the host based also. Now, security information and event management, SIEM, systems collect, analyze, and monitor log data from various sources to detect and respond to security threats, providing real-time insights, alerts, and compliance reporting for improved incident response. So we have the SIEM, which is the security information and event management. So what this tool does is that it keeps logs as in everything, that's login details, transferring of files, everything that you could possibly have done on your endpoint device in that organization. There's a tool called, one of the ISM tool, we have Splunk. Even your Windows device comes with a log event, whereby you can check the logs of everything you've done so far on your PC for that particular day or even in the past. So it's used to do investigation. So they analyze. So this is one of the works of a security analyst. So they investigate using SIEM tools like Splunk. That is, they monitor logs and also analyze logs. For instance, if somebody that is supposed to log in, an employee that is supposed to log in by 8 a.m. did not log in by 8 a.m. and realize that the employee is logging in by 12 midnight, then you should know that that might be an indicator of compromise or an hacker, that is an access into the network. So these ISIM tools actually keep logs of anything you do on your endpoint device. Incidents, incident reporting, documenting incident details. As cybersecurity personnel, documentation is very, very essential in everything you do in this field. You have to always document all your processes because it will be useful for you in the future. That is also the essence of projects. Your projects, you document the steps taken, how you did those things, because if you need to remember those things, you can go back to it and you'll be able to understand how you actually did it then. Then we have initial assessment, evaluating incident impacts, notification, containment, training and exercise, regular training sessions for incident response members. Then we have conduct table top exercise and simulations, test incident response procedures. All right. So this is the phase 2. So you said the phase 1 is preparation. Now phase 2. Now this is the second stage of the incident response lifecycle. This involves the identification of initial security. Yeah. Incidents in real time. Steps includes monitoring logs and system activity, analyze network traffic and system behavior, receive alerts from security tools like the IDS, IPS, and also the SIEM tools. Now receive reports from users and stakeholders. Detection methods includes anomaly-based detection. This includes security threats by monitoring deviations from normal system use. So what anomaly-based detection means is that something that is supposed to happen a certain way, that you have programmed it to happen, and you realize that it is not happening that certain way. Now that is an anomaly-based detection. That is, it's supposed to happen this way, but it is happening another way. So we have signature-based detection. This identifies known security threats by matching patterns, hashes, coordinators of indicators of compromise with predefined threat signatures. So signature-based detection actually has to do with matching patterns, like maybe you set some particular rules, maybe using hashes or some particular patterns. What the signature-based detection does is that if it runs through those particular rules you've set and it doesn't align with what it wants to allow into the network, then it will detect a threat. Because so that is what is signature-based detection. Then we have behavioral analysis, that is monitor system and application behavior to detect and block malicious activities regardless of known signatures or patterns. So behavioral analysis, that is, this one analyzes based on behaviors. That is, when something is behaving the way it's not supposed to be, it could actually also detect a threat. Then we have machine learning based detection. This uses algorithms to analyze patterns, identify anomalies, and predict potential threats. Continuously learning from data and improving detection accuracy over time. That is AI, whereby you train your AI with some particular rules or with the way the organization has been running. Now the AI tends to learn, and if anything happens behind what it has already known, then there would be a detection. We also have human analysis. This involves expert security analysts reviewing and interpreting data, identifying threats, and making informed incident response decisions. That is, this has to do with a rational thinking. As humans, using your own discretion when you are monitoring to be able to detect anomalies. So we have some detection tools. We have the intrusion detection system. We have the SIEM tools, log management tools, network monitoring tools. Network monitoring tools, for example, we have the Wireshark, then endpoint detection and response tools. We have a tool called EDR, which is endpoint detection and response tool also. Then phase 3 is containment. Now, the containment phase aims to limit the spread and impact of detected security incidents. So when an incident has been detected, so the containment phase now the aim is to limit the spread of that impact of the detected security incident. So the goals: isolate affected systems or networks, prevent further damage or loss, minimize incident escalation, preserve evidence, containment. Then we have containment strategies. We have network segmentation, just like I explained to you in the networking class. We have network segmentation, we have system isolation, and we have account lockout, whereby you lock people out, can lock people out of their accounts just for security purposes. Then we have traffic filtering and firewall rules. Then containment techniques. Now, disconnecting affected systems from the network, disabling compromised user accounts, stopping malicious processes, blocking suspicious network traffic, creating snapshots for forensic analysis. Now, we also have containment tools. We have the firewalls, we have the IPS, we have the network access control, we have the endpoint security solutions, incident response software. So now the phase 4, we have eradication. The eradication phase aims at removing the root cause of the security incident, eliminate the threats, and restore systems to known good state. So at this eradication phase, we have the goals here: removing of malwares. So if the threat actor actually made use of malicious software, at this stage, they have to remove those softwares from their network, eliminate compromised accounts, restore compromised systems or data, fix vulnerabilities exploited by the threat. That is, any vulnerabilities that the attacker used against them, they have to fix those vulnerabilities. Then we have the eradication techniques: using antivirus software to remove malwares, conducting thorough system scans, analyzing and removing suspicious files, implementing security patches and updates. So now we have the eradication tools, we have the antivirus software, endpoint security solution, vulnerability scanners like Nexus. Then we have system restoration software. So now for the phase 5, we have recovery. The aim of the recovery phase is to restore systems, data, and business operations to a normal state after eradication. Now, the goals: systems functionality, that is, after they've done all their investigations, they will restore systems back to their functional point, recover lost data, verify system security, that is, they verify if all the settings, all the rules they set are actually well organized or well put. Now, techniques for recovery. So we have backup and restore. So they will restore from their backups if they have any backup saves. Then data recovery software, system reconfiguration and rebuilding, network reconnection and testing. Now, the last phase, which is the phase 6, We have lessons learned and post-incident activity. That is, after all the investigations have been made and they've restored their system back to normal, now they need to be able to train their staffs. So now this often overlooked phase focuses on reviewing and improving the incident response process. Now the goals: identify what went wrong, strengthen future responses, share knowledge across the organization. We have the key activities: conduct a post-incident review or debrief documents the timeline and actions taken, analyze effectiveness of detection and response updates. Incident response plan and security policies provide feedback and training of staff. So at this stage, this is where they will actually test everything they've done. Now they will put the information out to their staffs for them to be able to understand what actually went wrong and train them so that such incidents would not occur. So now let us try and build an incident response plan or incident response playbook. It's called an incident response playbook. So can somebody please explain what a DDoS attack is?
I think DDoS attack is the one that use botnets, like it employs some other systems in order to attack a software for the software to be slow or to crash. So most time the way they mitigate it is to use all this cache, all this is it cache, this are you a robot stuff and the cache stuff. So
All right. So what a DDoS attack is? DDoS attack is an attack on a server whereby they try to make the server run slow or crash by trying to attack the server. I'm coming. If I'm actually typing this, it should not make much of a sense. Let me put it out here first. Sorry.
so is it only a server or a web? Is it a server or a website or a web server?
A website uses a server. You attack the server if you want the website to
Yes.
stop. So it's
Okay.
basically a server or a network. So can you guys see my screen now? Is the text large enough? Hello, can you see my screen?
Yeah, I can see your screen from here.
All right. So this is an example of an incident response playbook for a distributed denial of service attack, which is a DDoS attack. So we said the first phase is incident identification. Now the objective: detect and confirm a DDoS attack as quickly as possible to minimize impacts. Now the triggers and indicators, how did they actually know? Because they have to be sure it was actually a DDoS attack. So how did they actually know it was a DDoS attack? So they said there was a sudden and unexplained increase or spike in network traffic. That is, there was a spike in network traffic whereby a particular IP or different IPs were actually sending SYN requests to their server. Then they said network performance degradation or unavailability of service. That is, they also noticed that there was network performance degradation. That is, the network was actually getting very slow. Now, alerts from monitoring tools detecting anomalies. Example: high traffic volumes, failed connections. So one of the tools could be the use of Wireshark. Probably when they were analyzing or when they were capturing packets with Wireshark, they realized a spike in the traffic. Then customer complaints or inability to access services. So one of the ways they also realized it was a DDoS attack was through customers' complaints, probably customer complaining that they could not access their web server or their site. Now, logs showing unusual activity, such as repeated requests from specific IP addresses. So the logs, for instance, Wireshark will be showing repeated requests from a particular IP address. It's only that IP address or those set of IP addresses that we're actually making Swift requests to their server. Now, the actions they will take in this phase. The first thing is activate a response team, just like just like we explained. Activate a response team, then notify the incident response team and key stakeholders. So they would have already had a team in the organization. So now they have to notify the response team and the key stakeholders. Now analyze logs using SIEM to traffic patterns and confirm the attack, because they have to also investigate and confirm the attack. One of the ways they can investigate is to try and visit the website to see if the complaints or the indicators of compromise are not false. Then correlate alerts, validate if anomalies align with known DDoS attack patterns. That is, you can try to validate, they try to validate if the anomalies they are actually getting aligns with what they know or the frameworks they've seen on DDoS attack patterns, probably the Meta framework, whereby they've already checked the Meta framework to see the kind of attack a DDoS, the kind of way a DDoS attack happens or the patterns it follows. Now classify the attack, determine the type, that is volumetric, protocol, or application layer. So you have to determine the or classify type of attack. Now establish communication, initiate the communication plan and inform relevant stakeholders. Now we have roles for different people. We have the incident commander, oversees response and decision making. We have the network engineer, analyzes and mitigates network level anomalies. Then we have the threat analyst, validates DDoS characteristics and attacker methods. So the second phase, so that is what happens in the first phase. So the second phase, we have the incident containment or the containment phase. Now, objective of this phase, minimize the impact of the DDoS attack and prevent it from escalating. So now the actions they will take here, they actually do not need triggers and indicators here that much. So the actions they will take here, first, implement rate limiting rules, that is, apply rate limiting to affected services or endpoints. Now, filter malicious traffic. Use web application firewalls and intrusion prevention systems to block malicious IPs. So you could always use your firewall, just like I showed you something similar. So one of the actions you could take, if that particular IP that is making that excessive request, you could block those IPs using the IPS or application web app firewalls to block those particular IPs from gaining access to the server. Now, engage ISPs or cloud provider. Request traffic filtering or rerouting support. So ISPs is like your internet service provider, that is MTN, Globalcom, or any internet service provider that you are making use of or they are making use of. Now, enable DDoS protection. So activate DDoS protection mechanism like AWS Shield, Cloudflare, or Akamai. Now, Cloudflare, most of you would have been seeing Cloudflare. Probably if you want to visit a website, you will see Cloudflare whereby, or you see I'm Not a Robot. All those things are actually mitigations for DDoS attacks, because if it is a bot that is trying to gain access to the server, it will not be able to answer those questions. Now, we also have isolate affected systems. If necessary, temporarily take the affected systems offline to reduce collateral damage. That is, you could isolate the systems that have been affected so that it would not damage the rest. Just like we also said in network segmentation, whereby you can shut down other interfaces to prevent VLAN hop by an attacker to other networks. Then roles, we have the network security team here, whereby it implements traffic filtering and mitigation strategies. You have the communication manager, provides updates to stakeholders and coordinates with external vendors. Can you guys still hear me?
Yes, I can hear you from here.
Yes, we can hear you.
You can hear you, sir.
All right. So roles here under this second phase, we have the communication manager, provides updates to stakeholders and coordinates with external vendors, whereby, I told you there will actually be somebody that we have to communicate the incident to outside, to external vendors for them to know what is happening presently in the organization and also to their customers. We have metrics of success, reduction in abnormal traffic, restoration of partial service functionality. Now, in this phase, there might also be some metric of success whereby you'll be able to rate your success to know if you are able to achieve a particular response validation in this phase. So some metrics of success you could use to know is if there's reduction in abnormal traffic. So for instance, now, the moment you've already blocked those IPs, you could check if the abnormal traffic has reduced or the attacker has actually made use of other IPs to run the DDoS attack. Now, restoration of partial service functionality. When you realize that you've been able to restore some functionalities in the organization, then you will know that you are actually having some success. Then the next phase, we have eradication. Now, the objective of this stage, eliminate the root cause and ensure the attack is no longer active. So at this stage, the actions you could take is to identify attack sources, analyze traffic logs to identify the primary attack origin. That is, you would analyze the logs that the SIEM tools or the IDS has actually kept. Now, you analyze those logs to actually know the primary attack or the origins of those attacks. Now, block malicious IPs, use blacklists to block repeat offending IPs at the firewall or upstream provider. So you can always use the firewall to block certain IPs from gaining access into the organization's server. Now, terminate zombie connections. Use SYN, which is synchronized packets, used to initiate TCP connections, cookies, or reset persistent connections to remove attackers. So you can always use, SYN as sending requests to the server. So you could always work on that also to minimize the request that is being sent to the server. Now, roles, here we have the threat analyst who identifies and tracks the root causes. We have the network engineer, updates firewall rules and terminates connections. Now, metric of success here, absence of malicious traffic in monitoring tools, so full network stability restored. So by the time you realize all this, you should know that there is a metric. This is actually your metric of success here. Then we have the next phase. We have the documentation or the recovery stage. This is actually the phase 5. So objective of this phase, maintain comprehensive records of the incidents of compliance analysis and feature prevention. I told you in cybersecurity, documentation is very important. So the reason why they actually document all this is if there's a futuristic attack, they will be able to go back to their plan and know what they actually did the last time to be able to mitigate against or defend themselves or recover from that particular incident. That is the essence of one of the essence of documentation. So the actions you could take here: capture incident details, that is, document attack patterns, timelines, impacted systems, and response actions. We have collect evidence, that is, archive logs, alerts, and communication analysis. So you have to keep archive those logs and the alerts for further investigation. We have record lessons learned, notes strengths and gaps in the process. That is, you should record the lessons that you actually learned from trying to defend or investigate the attack. You should know where your strength increased and where it actually reduced, where there needs to be more work or training on. Now, Rose, here you have the documentation specialist, we have the incidents commander. Now, metrics of success: detailed documentation with no missing key events or data points. So when you've been able to document the events in a detailed format without missing any data points. So the last phase, we have the post-incident review. Now, objective of this stage: evaluate the response to improve future incidents handling and prevention. Actions: conduct a debrief, host a meeting with the incident response team and stakeholders to discuss the response. So you host a meeting with the organizations to be able to, with the workers in the organization, to be able to understand what actually took place and how they can actually prevent it from occurring. Now, identify gaps, analyze what worked and what did not in the containment, eradication, and recovery phase. So you'll be able to analyze what went wrong and what they actually need to work on. Now, update playbook. Modify the playbook based on lessons learned and identified improvements. So even if you once had an incident response playbook for a DDoS attack, now if it comes in through another method, or actually realize that there are some gaps that needs to be filled up from the former incident response plan on this same attack, you need to update the incident response playbook. So we also have implement preventive measures, strengthen systems defenses to mitigate future attacks. So you need to strengthen the defense and the systems of organizations to prevent future attacks. So we have the roles here. We have the incident commander here. He leads the review session. We have the response team, provides feedback. That is the whole team. They come to provide feedback on what they all did in their different analysis. So we have the chief information officer, which is the CIO. Then we have the chief security officer. Now he approves and oversees updates of policies or tools. So here they approve and oversee all the updates they've been able to add to the incident response playbook. So now the metrics of success: for success, clear action items for improvement, updated playbook, distributed and implemented. So this is an example of an incident response playbook on a DDoS attack.